All right, if we look at our design patterns library, we've got typography set up right. I showed you how to do the page nav. But if you go to any of these other pages, UI elements or media, that's not there anymore. So what we need to do is grab our page nav, create our section that goes into each of these, and identify what is going to be present in UI elements, what's going to be present in media. So let's look at how we did our typography page nav, and we'll repeat it for our other pages. If you notice, every page has a section with a class of container. That's all of this. Then a header, then a nav for the top nav bar. Then we have this section, which gives us 2 columns, article, and then your aside that has the page nav. We did an order 1 so that this would appear on the left. Technically speaking, with the page nav could theoretically go before the article. That's okay. We're not going to change that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of this code from the H2 down to the closing of the nav. I'm going to copy it. Okay. And now I'm going to go to the next page. I'm going to go to media. Actually, I'm going to start with UI elements. That's the next one. Okay. I'm going to collapse the items I don't need to see. And here it is. Page nav goes here. Notice this had a class of H3 and more text. I'm going to paste right over that. So I highlight that whole line and I Control V to paste. Page nav. Now, this is going to be different. And so I'm just going to create a couple of these and work out what we're going to do. We're going to create a nav bar. I'm going to delete the remaining list items. I'm going to start with 4. Okay. And let's go ahead and just paste the same thing into the media section. So I'm just going to copy all this, starting at the beginning of the header 2, down to the closing of that nav that's a class of page nav. Okay, I've removed all the content and everything but the hashtag right here. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go into media, and I'm going to scroll down where it says page nav goes here, highlight all of that, paste right over. Okay, to set the framework and our roadmap for what we're doing in UI elements, for sure I'd like to create some buttons and or anchors like hyperlinks that look like buttons. So you can give the hyperlink a class of button or BTN. They already do that, and it's already done in Bootstrap. We're already using Bootstrap. So we could leverage it, but you may want to add an additional class or style it and give it your own style to sort of override what that is. We also should have a form that has at least a text input, checkbox, drop-down button, etc. And then if there's any other UI element you'd like to experiment with, there's a thing on user interface elements, a link that shows you what some of these are. You can look at jQuery UI for some advanced ideas. Okay, I'll let you choose whether you want to do other UI elements. But right now, it looks like we're looking at 2, maybe 3 page nav sections. So we're going to do buttons, we're going to do forms. So we want to go to the UI elements. First of all, by adding these page navs, go ahead and save your changes. So Control S to save, click on UI elements. And so we're going to do buttons. So we're going to go ahead and just tell the ID it's going to be ID of buttons. And we're going to put buttons. Okay. And then we're going to do an ID of forms. Or you can do form element. I might do form elements. And then I'll put it advanced, but it's up to you. If you think you have time, do it. If you don't, don't. Don't put something in there you know you're not going to get to. Or make sure you remove the link later. Okay, so I'm just going to put a couple links here. I'm going to save my changes. Let's see what it looks like. Here's the page. I'm going to click UI elements. Now we have the page nav. Now notice it's visible. It's not weird and broken. Buttons, form elements, advanced UI elements. So we're gonna add a couple headers in here like we did on typography. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing for media. So let's go ahead and add those headers. They're going to be under the article. And we want to follow the pattern we did for our typography. Now, as you may recall, for this assignment, for sure you need to have a header using a header 3. I gave it a class of H. I'm sorry, a header 2, excuse me. Gave it a class of header 3 to sort of make it a little bit smaller in size. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And so for sure you're going to want like a header 2. Let's go ahead and just copy this and just kind of code over it. Okay. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to go to UI elements. I'm going to paste in here. And instead of pattern samples go here, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that header 2. We don't need it. Now, it's a header 3. We're going to give it an ID of buttons. And we're going to put buttons. Okay. Now, this would be if you were going to break it up into smaller sections. I don't think we're going to need to do that. Okay. So we're going to get rid of this. And it's also optional. Do you want to have both output and the code? If you do, keep both of those. But because we had a header 2 before, you should change this to a header 3. Change this class to H5, like so, output. And then I'm going to delete all of this. And then if you want to do code, also change that to H3. Change this to H4, so you make that a little smaller. Keep the figure class there, and scroll down and delete all of that. Okay. You have the ID of buttons. It says buttons here, and you might want to go ahead and create a button tag. Now, one of the things here, if you're going to do a button, you might want to go to another website that talks about the button tag. Okay. If you go to, for example, w3schools.com and you search the button tag, you're going to see it right here. You'll see that in the case of a button, you usually have a type, and then you have some text in between the opening and the closing. Try it yourself so you can see what that looks like. So let's go ahead and try that now. Give it a class of btn, type of button. And we'll put a little click me on here. Save your changes. And now let's see what that looks like on your Design Patterns project. You got buttons. Notice the click me button looks different from the tutorial I was just showing you. That's because you're using Bootstrap and you gave it a class of btn. If you remove that class and you just give it as a button and you save your changes, watch what it looks like now. Hit refresh. Now it looks more like that kind of a button. Okay. It's by adding that class of btn. Now, when you have this, you can style it differently. You can give different kinds of buttons. You can label them. That might be a good idea. So here, you'd go ahead and put an H4, class of H5. You can put, for example, standard button. And then you got it closing here. Save your changes. Go to here, hit refresh, standard button. There you have it. There's no hover state, so you're going to probably want to style that. And then you can create other headers for different kinds of buttons. You can have a warning button. You can have like a highlight button, etc. Okay. All right. Now, I'm not going to give you all the code, but just wanted to show you how you would do that. For on the standard button, then you want to copy this. We'll just go ahead and do like we've done before. Tab over here, paste it. But now you're going to create a code tag here that surrounds all of your code. Then you got to replace these right here, angle brackets, with those HTML entities, which is ampersand, and this is LT for less than sign. And you're going to copy that, and anytime you have this particular one, you replace it with LT. Then anytime you have a closing tag, you replace it with GT for greater than. See how that works? So I'm just going in here. We've already done this on other tutorials, just plugging it in. Save your changes, take a look, And there it is. And now you've got your code for the standard button. Okay, so that way you can show users how to do it. We also have form elements. This is the ID we gave it. And so you're going to want to do basically the same thing here. You may want to do, like add after this, you might want to put an HR, horizontal rule, in there. There we go. All right, then you're going to want to do another H2 class, etc. So I'm actually going to copy this from here. I might put an extra line return, paste, ID, form elements, like so. And then you get to decide, are you going to do output and code? If you do, just copy all of this. Go after here, paste that in. And then you're going to want to get rid of the code here. Get rid of this code here. And then you're going to replace it by putting a form in here. And I recommend you do a form tag and you do a variety of different form elements inside. For now, we're going to save changes. Okay. Remember, this ID attribute has to match what comes after the hashtag there. Okay. So we're going to save changes. And let's just test it, make sure this is working right. If I click form elements, notice how it jumps down. It goes as far down as it can. Now, if there was more content here, this form elements would be closer to the top, but we didn't put anything in there yet. But the link is still working. The other thing you may want to do is have in between each of these, notice how you have that little line? You might want to have a little tag that's an up that clicks back to the top of the document. So I'll show you how to do that. That would be a handy thing you want to put in each of yours. So after the horizontal rule, or right before it, it's up to you. You can create a hyperlink. Now I'm going to put a hashtag. I'm going to click here, top. Okay. Now this is a link going to the top, but it doesn't go yet because it has a hashtag with nothing on it. This may still work. Let's just see if it does. Whoop. Control S. Hit refresh. Click form elements. Click top. It does. Here's why it works. Just the hashtag by itself will go. It'll just reload the page. Since there's nothing on there, it actually goes to the top of the page. So this is a handy little trick you may not have known, but now you do. This is a very good little technique to add to each of your documents. I'm just going to go ahead and copy both of this. I'm going to paste it at the end of each of those sections. Save changes. I recommend you go back to typography and put them in there as well. So at the end of each section, so we have headers, for example. Go down to add. Okay, so there's this ID right here, so this is a good place to put it. Paste. Save changes. Scroll down after paragraphs, before lists. Tab over, paste. Save changes. Go down after lists, before tables, save changes. Before other block level elements, Control V to paste, save changes. Inline elements, tab over, Control V. Save your changes and let's go back. Click on typography, click on paragraphs. There's the top link. We're back to the top. Click down other, and we can jump up and down on here, clicking top. So let me leave you with the UI elements. And now we have this general code output form elements. You're going to want to do the same thing for the final page. I'll show you that on a later day. Actually, rather than do it another day, let me just do it. I'll just pause the video while I code it, and then I'll show you the end result. So on the page nav, I'm just going to put in sort of 3. These first 2 would be good to have. The third is just optional if you want. You could add more sections, video related, or media related. But images is an important piece here. Like you could style images like rounded images, squared off images, images with rounded corners, borders, etc. So you could have a couple different ways of styling images. The figure tag I'll put figure tag instead, like so. But it says figures right here. And then video, audio, like so. Handy little trick is when you got this hashtag here and it says video, audio, quote, closing bracket, video, audio. If I copy all of this, I can just highlight where it said images all the way to the end of images and paste right over that audio, video, audio. Go ahead and grab those links for the output and code, all from this header 3 down to the top link. Just going to copy that, go over to media, I'm going to paste it under each of these, paste, paste, paste. Save changes. Let's take a look at it. UI elements, media, images, figure tag, video, audio. Top link still works. Got these links here. And they all work. All right, so I'll leave you with that code. You can sort of see a sample of the last section with the page nav. Should give you plenty that you can use.